We are live. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Rookie of the Year show on the Pop Sports Network. Just want to introduce you guys. It's going to be a weekly show every Monday at 12 o'clock. My name's Javier. We'll hand it over to Rob. We got Josh there over in the corner, too. But we'll just start a few intros. We'll start with Rob.
All right, I'm Rob. Uh, I live in Orlando, as alongside Josh and Javi. Transplant from Pennsylvania. I'm a Celtics fan. Some might call me a bandwagon, but I've been with us since I was 6. Yankees, Steelers. I know those don't mesh, but it's okay. We'll swing it over to Josh.
Hello, I'm Josh. I also, like Rob said, living in Orlando, but moved around quite a bit growing up and watching sports. Fan of the Cardinals in St. Louis, the Denver Broncos, Colorado Avalanche, and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
All right, I'll kind of finish everything up. My name is Javier. Obviously, another Boston fan here in the building. Grew up there, transplanted down here to Orlando. But Celtics, Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, everything. Can't go wrong with the championship town. You know what I mean? So
What's up, baby?
title town for sure. Reigning champs. But for the show today, we're just gonna go over a few things. Keep it nice and quick and easy. We'll go over round two predictions, NBA playoffs. Got some big series. We'll start our little rookie of the week segment. That's going to be a weekly segment where we pick the rookie of the week. We'll each kind of have like a guy to talk about, and just who's starting their career off good. And then I don't want to talk about this guy, but Aaron Judge. This guy's having this historic season, so I think we got to talk about this guy. But round two series are pretty interesting. We got Knicks, Celtics. We got Warriors versus the Timberwolves. We got to talk about OKC versus the Nuggets, two powerhouses there. And then we had the one that kind of might have surprised people yesterday: Cavaliers versus Pacers. Pacers took game one. But yeah, we'll kind of start with the obvious: Knicks versus Celtics. First time in 40 years that this series has been past round one. So I know Gene is listening. That's our guy, big Knicks fan. Can't wait to send him home crying today. But we'll start with the Knicks Celtics. Everybody kind of leave your predictions, how many games, and who you think's going to dominate. We'll start with Rob.
Uh, expect to see much of what you saw in the regular season.
I
Obviously,
hope so.
playoff basketball is playoff basketball is always different, but when you watch these two teams play against each other in the regular season, you could just see that it's not a good matchup for the Knicks. Their perimeter defense is lacking. Carl Anthony Towns can't defend. We're just going to put him in drop coverage every time. He's either going to get blown by or going to hit a step back three. Ball movement's going to be good. I think key for the Knicks, they're going to need big series from McHale and OG for sure. Brunson and Cat are obviously going to try to do their thing. I think Drew Holiday's probably going to do a great job on Brunson. And then we have other bodies, obviously, that we could throw at them as well. Carl Anthony Towns, obviously, we're going to have Porzingis on him. Don't be surprised if you see Tatum get a good amount of defensive minutes against Cat because we like to use him as the five, especially late in playoff series and stuff like that. Um, Overall, though, I think the Celtics are probably going to win the series in 5. The Knicks, they are a good team, but they just have too many glaring deficiencies. And the Celtics, they're the best team in the league at exploiting weaknesses. So
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, Rob. I think I'm going to take the Celtics in 6 here. I agree. I think you guys are going to be able to exploit their defense, and I think defensively you're going to be able to stop players like Bronson with between Derek White and Drew Holiday. You're going to have Tatum. You're going to have K-Paps on Cat, who's historically had issues with Porzingis. So I think like you said, Mikhail and OG are going to have to be huge for the Knicks. We're going to have to see something out of the Knicks bench if Tom Thibodeau is willing to use the bench at all this series. But overall, I do see the Celtics comfortably taking the series.
I see us taking it in 4 games. It's going to be a sweep. It might remind you of like the Pacers series last year. It's going to be close. We're going to have some good games here and there, but 4 games, that's all it's going to take. Boston's really dominating everything. Offensively, there hasn't been a game that they haven't put up over 115 every single game. New York's only scored 110 one time. Just going to throw a few stats out here. JT is averaging 33.5 points and 47% from three against the Knicks this year. I think Al Horford's going to have a huge series on Cat. Al Horford's always the guy that steps up in the playoffs.
Oh.
Always, that's a good matchup. And the 3-point shooting is going to be a big deal. We'll see if OG and Mikal with that broke ass jump shot, if he could shoot in this series. But yeah, I don't see it being really that difficult on the Celtics, but it might have a few close games.
And like you mentioned, with the Pacers and Celtics series last year, the Celtics have just shown, like when they're in tight playoff games and it's going down the stretch, they just have guys that are poised and they just live for the moment. They're gonna have guys that are gonna step up and make clutch plays, like Drew Holiday. Al Horford's a guy, that veteran experience. He knows what he's doing in those moments. Of course, you got to be worried about Jalen Brunson because he was the most clutch player in the NBA this year. But you're not going to have any clutch moments if you're getting blown out. So the Knicks got to keep it close.
I like how Boston just let Holiday take those like last 3 games off just so he's ready for Brunson this next series. I'm excited for that.
No injuries to report. So if you're a Knicks fan, you should be very worried right now.
We all know Brunson's going to get his. He's going to score, but it's down the stretch, and if everybody
Shot
else can
chucker.
get going,
He's going to get 35 on 30 shots. And he's
exactly.
going to play no defense. I'm not worried about him.
They're just not that good offensively. They
Too
got to
much
rely
ISO
on
ball.
fucking Cat hitting 40-footers.
Too much ISO ball. That's what it is. And the
Yeah,
fourth quarter
Boston's
of the
going to be
game is
kicking it
going to be
around.
it's going to be a Jalen Brunson ISO, and then they're going to swing it out the Cat for a late three. That's their offense.
Or OG in the corner. That's all he does, sit in the corner all day.
I think Josh Hart will be instrumental to changing that static offense you guys are talking about. He's a very valuable player to that team, and he helps keep the ball moving. He's constantly moving. He could be an X factor. I think that we kind of glossed over, but otherwise,
For sure. Josh Hart in any given series, Josh Hart could be their third most impactful player for sure.
Regular season Josh Hart and playoff Josh Hart, 2 different players. He always steps up in those big games, making the right plays. You could just tell championship type of player ever since Villanova. So yeah, I could see him doing well as well. Is there any certain player that you guys think will change this series other than the obvious? Is there any other role player that you think?
I'm
Obviously, the Knicks don't
interested to
really use their
see.
bench.
I'm interested to see how Peyton Pritchard does, because in a lot of our big games this year, Pritchard has not shown up, but he was the sixth man of the year. You know, he's going to give you on average about 15, 16 a night, 40% from three. He can pass. He's a pretty solid rebounder for a guy his size, but we're just going to need more from him in some of these big games, especially as we
Yeah,
get into the later rounds.
him and Hauser got to be hitting threes for us to be dominating for sure.
Yeah.
Always.
Especially Hauser, because if Hauser's not hitting his three, he's not giving you anything.
At all. But hopefully Pritchard has a good series. Yeah, he didn't really have that good of a series against Orlando other than that game 1. But that's just they're good on guards defensively, but we'll see. He kind of eats up those moments. MSG in Boston, it's going to be crazy. I mean, He's a big time player. He steps up.
By the way, look for a Tatum legacy game here in the next 2 weeks.
How many do you think he's gonna drop?
I'm looking for
Four
a
points,
50
two for
ball.
16.
I'm looking for a 50 ball in MSG. Game
I'm
3,
thinking
game 4.
30-point triple double for sure. He's gonna drop at least one this series on his
Let's
Jokic
see.
shit.
Legacy game on
Josh,
the
you got
road.
any role players that you think that could change this series, make this interesting?
Role players, I do. Back to the whole Tom Thibodeau using his bench. On the Knicks, I'm going to say Deuce McBride. He didn't have really a big series last series against the Pistons, but he does have that pop off potential, in my opinion. He can go out
Yeah.
and give you 20 on pretty good efficiency. He will be that Peyton Pritchard esque player who can maybe match him if he gets going. Otherwise, I'm not sure they have the firepower to contend with you guys when it comes to depth. But I think
Yeah,
Josh
he's had a
Hart,
weird season. He was really good last year, but Deuce really hasn't been getting going that well off this year.
on and off, seems to have like inconsistent minutes. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. I think he was also dealing with some injuries at the beginning of the season. So
It's all about his shooting. He shoots off the dribble. That's what keeps them. That's that spark off the bench that they have. But yeah,
We'll
if he
see.
makes an impact, definitely can see it being close.
We'll have to see if Precious Achua can give the Knicks some good minutes because he's one of those guys that they brought in to be a Tatum stopper, and he got absolutely cooked by Tatum in the regular season. So if he can give them some good minutes, that could be big.
Yeah, tell him to keep sitting under the rim so Tatum just puts him in a body bag again.
Yeah, he can
I
sit
like
down
that.
there with Cat and drop coverage.
And they still play a drop against us. McCall Bridges, though, I think McCall Bridges, if he was supposed to be. I mean, the Knicks put this whole team together to basically stop Boston, and McCall Bridges really hasn't been that big of an impact player this year. Not worth 5 first-round picks, I don't think. But McCall Bridges, OG, like we were saying earlier, OG is going to have that matchup on Tatum. Hopefully, he doesn't get cooked with that step back again. But OG defensively, we're just going to be playing pick and roll, attacking Cat, attacking Brunson, because those guys can't guard for shit. But if OG and McCall are stopping guys like, you know, Brown, if D White doesn't have, like, D White's our Lord and Savior, whenever we're kind of stuck in the mud, we just kick it out to that guy, and he's gonna hit a banger. Best catch and shoot guy in the league. But Josh Hart, those guys, they could play defense, but you can't hide Brunson and Cat. That's for sure.
Yeah, those two guys are going to get hunted all game long, every game.
I feel like we haven't talked a lot about KP either. KP had a really good game that last game. Dropped 8 threes. Went, I think it was 8 for 13 from three. Yeah, that's what I have in here. Dropped 34 in that overtime game and had to seal, like, the shot to seal the deal. KP is kind of like our always our missing puzzle piece that sends us over the edge. If he's playing well, we're playing well. Defensively, he kind of keeps us all in check, and then his 3-point ability lets us spread the floor, and that kind of opens up our offense.
For sure. When you have a guy that's 7'3", standing 30 feet away from the basket, and then it forces the other team center to leave the paint. It's going to leave wide open lanes and stuff. So we should have multiple avenues
He
to
didn't
put
really
up
have that good of a
on the
series
board.
against Orlando, but they're just a physical team. I can see him struggling with that, but I can see him babying those guys in the post, getting those switches, really getting off and having those good games in this series. It's a better matchup for him.
For sure. I don't think Orlando's a better team than the Knicks, but I think Orlando matches up better against the Celtics than the Knicks do.
wow.
And that's based on not just this year, but the last couple of years as well. So Orlando's given us trouble for a while now.
Yeah. One thing that the Knicks do is when they play defense and they get out in transition and they're hitting those transition threes and you're not able to set that defense, that's where they get going. So we got to be taking quality shots, making those shots, and getting back on transition because that's how they play and that's how they get that energy in MSGs when they have those big plays like that. Defense to offense, always.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we think they try and roll out Mitchell Robinson at all?
I think they do.
It's
They
worth
need
a
Yeah.
just
shot.
they've been struggling with rebounding against us, so
Yeah.
they need the help down low.
He's just such
They
a
need the
black hole
defense too.
offensively. They do need the defense too, at least to just be a body.
But he can't defend on the perimeter.
No,
That's
he
gonna be
can't.
his problem.
Yep.
We're
Every
gonna bring his
time
ass out of the paint.
every time they get Cat on a switch, all they see is a buffet. So
They're gonna have
they
to
need
play two on us. They're gonna have to.
yeah, they need a big man for sure. I hope Gene is watching this right now.
That's how they always play against us. They're gonna double the ball, and we're gonna be just having that ball flying around, getting open looks. Big threes tonight in the Garden.
Game
It'll
one win.
be a good series regardless, I think. I think each game will be intense, if not close.
For
We might
sure.
have one blowout, but I think it's gonna be close.
Who do you
Boston
guys
is
have
a
winning
minus
game one?
900 favorite in the series. They're not even giving New York a chance. It's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
insane.
All right. Shall we continue on to the next matchup?
Yeah, we could talk about your guys, Nuggets and
All
Thunder.
right. All right, we could do that. I like it. I'm actually a big fan of both of these teams, and not just because of the connection with Russell Westbrook to the Denver Nuggets. Big fan of Jamal. Liked MPJ at Mizzou before he got hurt. The 2 games he played. Just like the build and makeup of their team, I think with like maybe a little bit more depth or maybe another star, which Aaron Gordon or Russell Westbrook could step up into that role. I think they do have a chance. I mean, they have Nikola Jokic. We know what he brings to the table. The Thunder is going to have a rough time stopping him. Their center rotation between Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Jalen Williams from Arkansas are going to be hard pressed to stop him or mitigate him. And then it's going to be on the rest of our defense to kind of operate around them and stop Jamal and Aaron Gordon and Russell. I do think we still take this series in 6 games personally, but I think it's going to come down to the MVPs leading their teams. Well, potential MVP, our MVP frontrunners, and those X factors like Jamal Murray, who could have a 30, 40-point game or a 10-point game, and Jalen Williams, who could have a 10-point game or a 30-point game and give you excellent defense. I think it's going to come down to those guys. It's going to be less about the role players because both teams are very deep.
I think this goes 7 games. I think the Thunder take it in 7. I'm looking at the season series, it's 2-2. Those are some pretty good games too. A lot of high scoring, and then there's some low scoring in there too. But obviously, it's going to be about Jokic. It's going to be about SGA. I think the Thunder match up well with having Hartenstein and Chet down low with the rim protection. But I think the Thunder still come out and take this series. It's going to be a hard fought series. It's going to be not just a walkover on the Nuggets. Jokic is going to do his thing. MPJ's been battling this shoulder injury. Hopefully, he gets his shot going. But Jamal Murray, playoff Jamal Murray, and Jokic is always a problem. You always got to worry about guarding that. And the Thunder are really good on defense this year. So I think that's one of their specialties. But I think it goes 7. I think the Thunder take it in 7. I think SGA still drops 30 every night. I think Jokic does his thing every night. It's going to be a legendary series.
For sure. On the surface, I feel like this should be a 6 or 7 game series.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think the Thunder are just way too good for the Nuggets. I think they're going to win in 5, the Thunder. I expect Jokic to go off. He's probably going to average a 30-point triple double with like 65% true shooting because that's just what he does. But they need more consistency from guys like Jamal Murray. Like you mentioned, he could go for 40 or he could go for 10. Michael Porter Jr. could go for 35 or he could go for 5. Aaron Gordon is probably more consistent than those two guys, but he's not a guy that's going to really go off for 30 or 40 any night. But, he's a good lob threat. He's a solid defender, so he's going to give them good minutes. Russell Westbrook could be an X factor. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays down the stretch because we've seen in a lot of big moments he doesn't look very poised and he makes some irrational decisions with the basketball and stuff. But if he could keep his head clear and give them solid minutes, that would be a huge boost. Christian Brown is going to need to have a big series.
Yeah.
But I think the Thunder are just too good. Their defense is stifling. They have so many bodies that they could throw at Jamal Murray. So I think they're going to keep him in check.
Yeah.
Jokic is going to go off, but Jokic always goes off. They need other guys to step up. So if Shea plays up to his capabilities, which is a 33, 6, and 5 guy, then the Thunder should, I think, walk over the Nuggets. But we'll see what happens because Shea did have, for his standards, a pretty mediocre first round series. So we'll see if he can get his shot right, get that true shooting percentage up.
He'll be at the free throw line for sure, getting that percentage up.
Oh, yeah, of course. As soon as the game starts.
It's going to help.
I think he'll have a big series. I don't think it'll be as mediocre as the first round series. I think he'll step up. This is the matchup that's basically sealing the MVP. He's got to step up.
It just didn't seem like he
for
needed
sure.
to last series. It seemed like, at least to me, maybe in those games 3 and 4 when he did play kind of meh, in my opinion. But Jalen Williams was really leading the charge for us last series, and our role players like Casey Wallace. Who else? Aaron Wiggins was playing well as well. So I think those guys, if they are able to produce as well, I could see Rob's outcome. But I think it's going to be come down to, will the Thunder show their youth? Will they show their playoff inexperience? Or are they just going to kind of cruise by them like they did the regular season? But not the Nuggets. Like Javi said, it was a pretty good season series.
Yeah, these are like my two most, I think, teams that were ready to make a run towards the championship. And then kind of at the middle of the season, once the Warriors got Jimmy, and then now Ant's playing like a fucking animal. So they obviously have a shot too. But these two are my two teams out the West that I thought could come out. And yeah, I think this is going to be a great series. It's going to feel like a Western Conference final. J-Dub, I'm excited to see what he does for this playoff run, because he's kind of that X factor for you guys where he lights up the fucking arena for sure with those dunks and his defense. I think he's going to be a really big guy in this series, and I love me some Chet Holmgren. I think he can spread the floor. He could do a little bit of everything. He can also play a little bit of defense on Jokic, kind of helping Hartenstein, because Hartenstein's going to have that matchup, but you're really going to have Chet be able to roam because he's probably going to be matched up on Aaron Gordon sitting in the dunker or in the three-point line. You almost let him shoot that. You just let Chet roam. You let him kind of flash at that pick and roll. So Jamal's not hitting those mid ranges and getting to the bucket too easy. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it going.
Yeah, J-Dub's going to need to have a big series. Last year in the playoffs, J-Dub was pretty underwhelming, but he's a younger guy. You kind of expect that from guys that are only in their second or third year in the NBA. But he had a big season, so I expect him to step up.
Huge series last series, too. Extremely efficient from all areas of the floor. And
I hope we see another chippy series. Like, these series have been chippy.
I think both of the series are going to be chippy. I think your guys' series is going to be a little bit more intense. I think Pacers, Cavs might get a little fired up. Same thing, obviously, Timberwolves and Warriors have some bad blood there. So I think this round is going to be another excellent round for intensity between the teams. Thought we saw that last round too. Definitely some heated moments that you might see going around on social media. So I actually think Nuggets Thunder might end up being the most tame, but who knows?
Yeah, Jokic, ever since he broke whatever Twins back that one year, he's kind of laid it back since then. But
Was
he's
it
got his
Marquise?
brother in the fans.
Was
That's
that
His
Keith?
hilarious.
brother handles his light work
That
now.
was Keith.
Do we think who do we think has a bigger series, Shea or Jokic?
Numbers
I
wise, Jokic. Impact wise,
Yeah, impact
Shea.
wise, that's what matters now, not the numbers. Numbers are regular season, winning games.
The box score watchers are going to say Jokic. People that actually
Mhm.
right.
watch the games are probably going to say Shea.
think it comes down to Shea's defense. I think that's going to be the deciding factor. If Shea can deliver two-way like he did in the regular season, I mean the past 2 years, he played pretty well defensively last postseason as well. If he can show that, I think like you guys said, people watching the box score are going to see Jokic's 30, 18, and 15 game be like, my God, that is the most valuable player. But if Shea's doing it
Yeah,
on
he's
both
just doing
ends,
dribble handoffs the whole time.
dropping 30 on his part, I could very well be
Jacob's
Shea.
going with the Nuggets down there. Josh, you got some competition with Jacob.
I like it.
But I think SGA, he's going to cement himself this series. Like you said, he has kind of grown on that defensive. Grown defensively, averaging like almost 2 steals per game.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think he drops 30 points almost every game. He averages 30 for the series. He's going to get to the line. He's going to have his assists. He's going to have guys like Caruso and Wiggins hitting those threes because they're going to be double teaming him. And yeah, that's what just the Thunder going from defense to offense is how they have just ruled the NBA all year and just been blowing teams out. So, like you said, yeah, if he steps up defensively and this whole team does, this might not even go 6 games. It might like Rob says, might be done in 5. But we'll see.
I do think it's going to be a legacy series for SGA. Jokic, it might matter a little bit less, but still it'll be pretty important for both of their legacies, I think. They're going to be facing up against more than likely Boston, or in my opinion, probably the Cavaliers. So it'll be
They
a
got to get
tough,
out of the
tough march
semifinals
no matter
first.
what. It's true. They got to beat the Pacers. They lost last night, but we'll get to that.
I'm more scared of the Pacers than the Cavs or the
Wow.
Knicks.
Wow. I think this is a perfect transition. We might as well move into Pacers Cavaliers then. We had our
I
first
didn't
game
really get to
last.
watch the game yesterday, but I was because I was at work, but I was completely surprised that the Pacers walked into that building and took game one. They stole game one right off the gate. And the Cavs have been just dominating this year. And they kind of, I don't know, maybe they thought that they were going to take this series a whole lot easier, but the Pacers always come to play. Tyrese Halliburton always comes to play in the playoff time. Ant went bald. How are we feeling about
Did
it?
he really?
He's he's
I saw
channeling
a
his
picture, but
MJ.
I
I
thought it
think
was
that was just an
AI.
AI picture, but
I thought that was AI.
yeah. But the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard dropping 23 and 7 yesterday. He
I was gonna
always steps
say
up in the playoffs too.
it was everybody from them. The whole team was firing. I think that's what really got them the win there. And I think from what I could tell in the discourse and the highlights, Donovan might have tried to be doing a little bit too much. Could have been getting more Cavs involved, but just an excellent effort from the Pacers. Seemed to push them past that one.
Yeah, when I looked at the score, it was just Mobley and Donovan doing anything. Nobody else was really having an impact. Ty Jerome didn't really have too big of a game. Dean Wade and other guys weren't having anything too crazy.
Andrew Nemhard's a demon, bro. All
They
Celtics
didn't
fans
have
remember.
Garland last night. I guess we have to take that into account. But yeah, Nemhard, go
Oh,
Gators.
no Garland.
I don't think Garland
Yeah,
played yesterday, no.
Garland did not play.
Didn't
Sam
see
Merrill
that.
got the start.
That's
Indiana shot 19 for 36 from three, so 52%.
To be fair, though,
And Cleveland shot 9 for 38.
yeah.
when Garland is playing, he's getting
Not
hunted,
recovered.
if we're being honest, at least on the defensive end. Garland is one of the guys that opposing teams are hunting.
Against
He
that
is.
team, absolutely.
But they do need his offense.
And his
Because
playmaking.
without Darius Garland, I don't think the Cavs are going to be able to score enough points because the Pacers are going to put up points. No matter what defense they're playing against, the Pacers are going to put up points. We've seen that. But the thing with the Cavs, when the Cavs are in close games, they tend to rely way too much on Donovan Mitchell's ISO game. We saw it last year in the playoffs too, and now we're seeing it again. Yeah, he had 33 points yesterday. He shot 13 for 30 from the field and was 1 of 11 from three.
God dang. It's awful.
Hmm.
He's usually a big time performer in the playoffs. Like, I remember those days when he was on Utah, he was always stepping up. But yeah, like you're saying, they're too reliant on ISO ball. And Donovan doesn't really have too much of an off ball game other than just spot up shooting. So going
That's the
one
part
for
that
11.
worries me. They rely on Mitchell's ISO ball a lot, but they also need his ISO ball to win
Hmm.
because that's what he specializes in, and he's obviously their best player. And like you said, he's a great playoff performer. He's always been a great playoff performer. He was great in the playoffs last year too. They just relied on him too much because they didn't have enough offense elsewhere. But that was also because of the injuries they had and stuff like that.
Evan Mobley can be an impact player in this. He had 20 and 10.
Yeah.
And
Insane efficiency, too, last series.
this guy has just stepped up this year. Did he win Defensive Player of the Year this year? He did, right?
He did. Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year.
He uh, he has been the reason that this Cavaliers team has been clicking and has gone over the top this year, and is the reason they're the first seed in the East. This guy's. I remember early in his career, they were just trying to like put him in the corner and spread the floor and just shoot threes. But this guy is like a legit post scorer, legit pick and roll, pick and pop type player, and he can have a really big impact this series. And if he does, then the Cavs are going to win. Miles Turner had a double double yesterday. You can't let Miles Turner get off on you and expect to be winning games. Like the Pacers are just a team oriented basketball club. And when everybody's going, you're not going to win games. Like you said, Rob, they're always going to be putting up points. They play like free basketball. I don't even think they run plays. They're just running pick and rolls and all game. And yeah, they're trying to attack certain matchups. And if Miles Turner, Andrew Nemhard, and Tyrese Halliburton are getting going, you're not going to win a game. So they got to step up defensively. Mobley and Jared Allen got to be stopping guys like Miles Turner. Can't be letting him get big threes. So yeah.
Evan Mobley has he's kind of surprised me this year because last year, like you said, he's added a lot to his game. Like he's a legitimate post player now. He just won
Mhm.
Defensive Player of the Year. But even his 3-point shooting, his not only his volume, but his efficiency went up as well. Last year, he only attempted 59 threes the entire season. This year, he put up 230 and shot
Wow.
37%.
Wow. The
And
Cavs just
that's
their whole offense changed. Once they hired that new coach, it kind of reminded me of the Celtics. They are very spread out, very attack the defense, get in the paint, kick it out after that. And they're getting open looks. You got guys like DeAndre or what's his name, DeAndre Hunter, and you got
DeAndre Hunter.
Mobley, and you got guys like that that are just sit. And Garland, Garland's a good 3-point shooter too. They're just constantly getting teams in rotation and getting good looks. And Mobley's one of the big reasons for that. And they got to get it going because you don't want the Pacers to get hot going into
Yeah.
Indiana because those are both good environments, and Indiana plays well at home.
yeah, game two is must win if you're the Cavaliers.
Hmm.
If you go
For
down
sure.
2-0 going into Indiana, I think they're done. So look for Darius Garland to be playing in game two. They said he's day to day and he's a game time decision. I don't think
I was
there's
going to
any
say, I'm not sure how impactful he will be, even if he does. I think it's going to be on Ty Jerome to step up into that playmaking role. It appears they actually just put out an update 30 minutes ago that the toe injury that's been bothering Garland, he reportedly has sharp pains every time he takes a step or makes any sharp movements. And that's going to be severely limiting to a guy that is oriented around his speed, his shiftiness. So it's
It's
definitely
kind
going
of
to be
late to make a
hindering.
prediction, but what do we think this series goes? You
I think
guys?
it's a game series. I do. I think it's a dogfight. I think the Cavaliers are going to show why they're number one all season, even without Darius Garland. I think they win the series if he comes back and feels better. Maybe 6. I think it's maybe 7 if he doesn't come back. But I still think Donovan Mitchell and those others that have been stepping up all season will continue to do it, even in Indiana. But could be wrong.
I got the Cavs in 7. Donovan Mitchell is going to be the best player in the series, and then look for Mobley to have a big series, especially if Garland doesn't return. Mobley's probably going to be a good, probably their second most, even if Garland is playing, Mobley is probably their second most impactful player just because of what he brings on both ends of the floor. And then obviously look for Jared Allen to do what he does, shot blocker, finishing at the rim, stuff like that. DeAndre Hunter, huge X factor.
Mm-hmm.
That was a massive pickup. It was maybe, well, obviously not the biggest deadline pickup when you have guys like Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors and stuff like that. But look for DeAndre Hunter to be a huge X factor. And then Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome has kind of surprised me this year.
Yeah, that guy's really grown into himself.
He's nice.
46% from 3. That's so
What
far
about
this
that guy
postseason.
Max Strus? Nobody talks about him, bro. Everybody hated on him, but he's found his place there in Cleveland.
Max Strus already used up all his Black Devil magic when he was with the Heat to beat the Celtics. It's the fakest series of all time. He's not replicating that.
I don't hate him as much now that he's on Cleveland.
Him and Caleb Martin. And don't forget that biggest op, Gabe Vincent, too. All 3 of them.
But I think this series goes 7. After seeing game 1, I think it goes 7. I think Cleveland takes it in 7, but I think it's gonna be a hard fought series. I'm would have said before yesterday it would have been Cleveland in 5 or 6, but the way that Indiana popped out, what team should you bet on, Jacob? Those odds might be pretty good for Cleveland right now without Garland. So, but you're
Mm-hmm.
probably not going to make any money.
Cleveland's
It's probably
line,
like minus 300, 400. But
honestly. I might take the Pacers just on the value,
it might
but
be a
I'm not
good
a
pick.
betting man. Throw that in your parlay.
Um, but I think it's going to be Cleveland shooting. They're not going to shoot that bad another game. They have way too many guys that can get going and get it every night. So if Cleveland gets their shot going, they'll do what they're supposed to do. They'll win this series. But Indiana's going to have that offensive firepower. Cleveland always can put up points. It's about if they can stop anybody. So that's going to be their big problem. But I like the way that this Cleveland team is built. I think they're built for the playoffs. I think they've had their run the past few years. Guys have been experienced enough to be able to make a good run. And Indiana is a formidable opponent, but they just don't have the weapons and the firepower that Cleveland does. I think Cleveland ends up taking it in 7. Is there any of your guys like favorite guys in this series that you think that could make a big impact? I know we kind of briefly talked about it, Evan Mobley and stuff like that.
I mean, personally, I feel more of an affinity to the Cavaliers players, just because I don't know. I love Jared Allen and his attitude and demeanor, and I think he's somebody that a lot of people sleep on. I mean, he doesn't really shoot the ball. He doesn't do that well, but he does make good passes. He does keep the ball moving. He's not going to be as big as a hindrance, I think, as some people may suggest. And I back to Ty Jerome. I think he has that potential to step into Darius Garland's role. Maybe not play it as well as Darius Garland, but play it well enough to where the Cavaliers could potentially take this series comfortably.
He had a real shot to take that 6-man from
He
Pritchard.
did.
I mean, Pritchard had all year, but Ty
Mhm.
Jerome, once it was the second half of the season, people were calling for his name for the Rookie of the Year. He got a couple votes, but that guy stepped up.
I'm
They
not
did.
gonna lie, I got worried a little bit for my guy Pritchard there at the end because Jerome, I mean, he shot the lights out this year.
Mm-hmm.
He was coming up clutch down the stretch too. Like he was the guy that they were going to down the stretch to like get him buckets, one-on-one ISO ball.
And that's another thing, because remember how I mentioned earlier, Peyton Pritchard kind of in big games for us this year he hasn't really shown up all the time.
hmm
And like you said, Ty Jerome, he's that guy that they've been going to him late in games and stuff and in big moments when they need guys to hit shots and stuff.
I think Mobley's going to be the biggest X factor in this series. Maybe he's just my favorite player on this team, but just like seeing his growth, and I think he's going to be an actual like all NBA caliber player eventually in his career. I think this playoff run is really going to kind of cement that he's one of the best players in the East, and he's not just a role player on this Cavs team. Like he's a real centerpiece of that team and why they win games.
I
Pacers, I
agree.
think maybe an X factor, TJ McConnell.
Yeah,
He's a
Interesting.
scrappy
Down in
guy.
the back.
If TJ McConnell can get hot, watch out.
I
Because
know
he had
Gene likes that guy. All Knicks fans do.
TJ McConnell. He had some pretty good minutes against the Celtics last year in the conference finals,
He did.
especially after the Halliburton injury. Nemhard and McConnell, they both stepped up big.
He's a hooper. He's like Pritchard. I don't know how they get to the rim when they're so tiny, but they get past their defender and they get those easy lays, and they always seem to make it. They never get blocked. He's always wide open.
And both of those guys, they're like guys that you see getting long rebounds off of missed threes and stuff like that, fighting for loose balls. They're just scrappy players that make
He's got to
winning.
be a dog on the team. We haven't talked much about Tyrese Halliburton.
We haven't, and I think for good reason. He's been
Why?
underwhelming. At least in my opinion. I'm actually a big believer in Tyrese Halliburton. I disliked that the Kings moved on from him to begin with, taking it all the way back to that trade for Sabonis. He was obviously excellent since that trade, but this year has been generally underwhelming. And in this playoff run, I expect him, or he doesn't have to be like the leading scorer every game. Pascal is going to get his as well, but he should by far be the most impactful every game. He should be dropping those double-digit assists every game. He should be, when he's not as aggressive, at least efficient, or if he's not doing that, looking to get players involved like last night. I just like to see more out of him. I think he has more to offer than what he's been giving us. That's my only
You mean on like
reasoning.
the offensive, like scoring kind of side of the
Absolutely.
ball?
Yeah,
Yeah,
defensively, he has his limitations despite his
right.
size. Yeah, offensively.
He's always going to get
My
those
biggest
assists.
knock on him is his efficiency. He's just not
hmm
efficient.
Yeah,
And
he's
that's
not as
kind of
aggressive
been
either. He's aggressive at weird times.
But very rarely when the Pacers win a game, or opposite, sorry. When the Pacers win a game, Tyrese Halliburton is getting off offensively. He's scoring 20 points. He's hitting those big threes, those step backs. Sometimes I don't even know why he takes those stupid shots, but it ends up going in. But Tyrese Halliburton is a real. I mean, he was on the Olympic team. He's a good. He's one of the top. I wouldn't say top five. He's top 10 point guard in the league right now. And yeah, Pascal and him have just kind of formed a good duo there in Indiana. And there's somebody that you can't really, because they've been there before now, that you can't really shy away from. What did Pascal drop last night? Only 17. he didn't really have too big of a game, which that's kind of what average for him. But Tyrese dropping 22, Andrew Nemhard dropping 23. If those guys are going, and you know who I really like? That guy Aaron Neesmith. I mean, he's the reason we have Drew Holiday, but that guy's really grown into this league. He's really found his place for himself here in Indiana and defensively, and he shot 4 for 6 yesterday from three. That's so efficient. That's such an Aaron Neesmith type of game, just to impact defensively and just hit those threes. But he had a heck of a game. He had a block, 8 rebounds. This guy played his ass off yesterday. This Indiana
Both
team's no joke. People look past them.
I want to see if the Cavs can make defensive adjustments to try to slow the Pacers' offense down. Because, like I said earlier, this like you could throw a lot of different defenses at them, and they're still just going to find ways to score.
Okay.
That offense is no joke. But yesterday they shot 19 for 36 from three, which is 53%. You're almost never going to replicate that. So
What I like about them is it's not too much ISO ball unless it's late in the shot clock. They're always moving the ball.
yeah, they
There's
keep the
always
ball
downs.
flowing.
They're always setting screens for somebody. So it's always a good basketball game to watch. I do enjoy watching them. But they should be outmatched, but they still won that game last night. So they're going to make this a series. I could see Cleveland winning tomorrow and then taking one in Indiana and kind of turn this series back towards their favor. But if Indiana wins tomorrow, series might as well be done.
Tyrese Halliburton can really make a name for himself, I feel like, in this postseason. Because last year he kind of just bursted onto the scene. What did he average last year? Like 24 points and 12 assists or something. And then in the playoffs, he gets injured. And then he comes back this year. It's kind of a slow start to the regular season. He did pick it up in the second half of the season, especially with the shooting numbers. But then the efficiency has dropped a little bit again in the playoffs, but he's still been very impactful so far. But if he could have a big series here and lead them to an upset over the Cavs, that would be huge for him.
I mean, even last year, I don't think teams really picked them to win versus the Knicks, and he kind of came up on top. What do you think, Josh? You think they
I
teams?
mean, yeah, but the Knicks got just injured into the ground. They didn't have a shot. That wasn't as much as the Pacers were able to beat them, except for the game 7. They beat them in game 7 or whatever it was. The final game where the Pacers closed it out. That was it. But before then, it felt like the Cat or the Knicks were just losing bodies, and there was just not really a shot. But I do think the Pacers can really establish themselves, especially like you said, if they can upset the Cavs here. That's great for Tyrese's legacy. I think it helps their confidence going up against the Celtics. It might give you guys a series.
The East is kind of for the taking. I mean, it's a new era of basketball. You don't have the LeBrons or the KDs. I mean, you have Steph, but it's a new era of basketball. It's a new era for guys to kind of make their impact and make a name for themselves as being perennial guys and perennial playoff performers. And Tyrese has an opportunity to be that. I mean, Giannis is kicked out of the East right now. He might not even be there next year. But other than the Celtics and Donovan Mitchell, who's really the big players in the East, and Jalen Brunson, obviously. But
Right.
Yeah, because
yeah,
the
you have an
Sixers just
opportunity to be able
fell
to
off
be
a
one of
cliff.
those top 5 guys in the East.
Yeah, because the
That's
Sixers
how
are
we move
just
on.
they plummeted.
The
And
Sixers, yeah, they're
unfortunate
over.
for Sixers
They're still
fans.
trusting the process.
Yeah.
Almost forgot that team existed.
Yeah,
Completely
same.
irrelevant.
They have a pretty good Tyrese themselves.
One last stat for the Pacers and Cavs series. The Pacers are 27-3 when Tyrese Halliburton scores 20 plus points.
Yeah, I told you.
So they
If
need
he gets going,
It's just going to take him.
if he has a
if he
big
gets going.
series.
Yeah.
Oh, and also shout out Buff because Buff was at work. He was extremely adamant that the Pacers were going to come out and make a statement in game 1. And a lot of people thought he was crazy. And it went exactly how we predicted.
Who has his own show, I believe. Might be a little Nostradamus.
By the way,
action
watch
over
out for
there.
Buff. He will be on Wednesday on Prop Stars.
Yeah, we'll throw a little shout out to our guy Buffington. He knows what he's talking about sometimes.
And then TJ, he's trying to make his own statement, saying Knicks in 6. Nobody's buying that, bro.
He doesn't believe it in his heart. All right, Warriors
All right.
versus T Wolves.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is gonna be a big one, popular one, I think.
Steph versus Ant. Let's give us your predictions, boys.
This is a tough one. This is a really tough one to gauge, honestly. I feel like the Timberwolves are a better team, but there's just something about the Warriors, bro. They have the guys that are experienced. They know how to win playoff games. They know how to win series. They know how to adjust. Steph Curry's going to have a big series. Jimmy Butler's probably going to have a big series. They're going to need the rest of their role players to step up. Brandon Podziemski, he's going to need to have a big series. He had a huge, I forgot which game it was, that he went off for like 26 points.
Yeah, it wasn't last game. It was game 6, I think.
Yeah, they're going to need him to have a big series. Buddy Hield is probably like maybe their biggest X factor here because, like you saw yesterday, he won them the series. 33 points. He hits 9 threes. When their offense is struggling in the first half, I mean, at halftime, Stephen Curry had 3 points. Jimmy Butler had 8 points. And Buddy Hield has 22 points on 6 of 7 from 3. And they have a 12-point lead.
Yeah, if you're the Rockets, you think you're winning that game. If
And
you're
then it
going
kind
into
of
that at halftime.
stayed in that range. The Rockets really couldn't get it under like 6 points. It kind of stayed in that 6 to 12-point range.
I'm going to take T Wolves in 7. This is kind of a toss-up series, but I'm on the Ant bandwagon. I think he's a legit playoff performer. This is when he's going to step up and kind of take over. He's going to have his like Luka moment from like a few years ago, where he's just going to be that guy that takes over a series, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's just going to take you one on one and get past you, or shoot the ball in your face. I see the Warriors having some hard fought games. You know, Steve Kerr, like you said, Rob, is going to have some adjustments for him, but the way that they're kind of playing all together with Julius, I don't, and Ant Edwards and Gobert having a big game against the Lakers, I think they get going. I think I think they give the Thunder a fight in the next series too. Josh, give me your prediction.
So I'm gonna go Timberwolves in 5.
Yeah,
I like the Timberwolves personally. I think Ant-Man is that guy, like you said. I think he had an all right series last series. I think his efficiency was down a little bit, but his numbers were there. I mean, he was getting swarmed on defense. He was getting treated like he was Stephen Curry. So I think we're going to see a little bit less of that defensive intensity from the Warriors, except for maybe Jimmy Butler. I think he will give Ant-Man a tough matchup if too much isn't demanded from him on the offensive end. But I think Naz Reid, I think Rudy Gobert, I think Jaden McDaniels, I think all these players, Julius Randle, by God, he had a great series last series. All these guys are going to step up. I think they're going to do enough. Even if they play just well enough, I think it's going to push past the Warriors, who got to rely on really streaky guys like Pachimski, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, and so on and so forth. So I think Timberwolves decisively win this. I think the Rockets folded the last playoff series against the Warriors. I think the Warriors stepped up, but it did feel like a fold on the Rockets' part more so than, man, the Warriors have come out looking terrific.
yeah. I feel like people aren't talking. Maybe it's LeBron's people that are just scrubbing it off the internet that the T Wolves took them in 5 games and it wasn't even really a
Right?
series.
It wasn't. And it just felt like Ant-Man, I mean, he did a lot, but he didn't have to do too much. Everybody else around him was picking it up and playing well. So I think if they carry that over into this series against the Warriors, I think they're walking right over them. I think it's going to be them ready for whoever wins the dogfight between OKC and Denver. And I think that will be a good series.
Ant's just going to add to his graveyard of NBA legends he's just kicking out of the playoffs.
No fear. I love that.
Like he told Obama, I'm the truth.
I've always kind of been an Ant guy, but honestly, the last 12 months or so, I feel like he's just become incredibly overrated. They give him all the credit
Wow.
when things go well.
Well, Michael
Like
Jordan was
you look at game 5, the closeout game, Anthony Edwards shoots 0 for 11 from 3. After the game, all you see is Ant everywhere.
hmm
Like nobody's talking about the other guys that actually stepped up and won them the game. It's just all Ant. So I actually want to like Ant needs to prove it to me first. I don't think he's proven it. Even last year against the Nuggets, they won that game 7. Anthony Edwards had a horrible game. He was awful. And they still won
sure.
because their team is good. And then he was pretty mediocre against Dallas. So he still needs to show it to me. I do think he's one of the top 10 players probably in the NBA. But if you're gonna really enter that upper echelon of like MVP caliber players,
Yeah,
you
because
gotta
people say
put
he's top 5.
Michael Jordan's
definitely
son.
not, not even close.
Because he has a cool personality and he talks shit.
Right.
People like that.
And like you mentioned, his graveyard of people that he's knocked out of the playoffs, like the amount of glaze that I've seen Ant get for knocking out KD and LeBron. Like nobody ever did this for Tatum when Tatum was sweeping KD out the playoffs.
This is
When
true.
he eliminated Giannis twice. He's eliminated Embiid 3 times.
Yeah.
He's eliminated Kyrie twice. Like, come on. You got to
That
be
guy's the
close.
truth right there.
You got
That's
to
why
be
he's
close.
right there.
Maybe I'm just spoiled by having an
Mhm.
actual MVP caliber player on my team.
We are. We are. And he's the most hated light skin on social media. But
Because
Anthony
he
Edwards
plays
is
for the
always going to get
Boston
all the praise.
Celtics. Everybody knows he's the next face of the league. They just don't want to admit it.
Jared
He's going to
McCain
be
might
top
take
10.
that from he.
Team, change it back so I can see my king.
I was to say he pointed at me anyway, Jeebus.
From my point of view, Tatum was right next to me.
Oh word.
I see Gobert having a big impact. I see him
Oh yeah.
going at Draymond. That's
Draymond,
going to
getting him
be
in
a great matchup.
I think Gobert's going to be huge. Yeah. The Warriors don't really have any bigs. Like, who are they going to rely on? Quentin Post? Quentin Post is a good player. Don't get me wrong, especially for a young guy. And he could shoot the 3 too, but I think Gobert should dominate that matchup. And
Yeah,
then
that guy, Buddy Healed.
they have so many defensive guys. Like, they have a lot of bodies that they can throw at Curry and Jimmy, like Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards himself.
Yeah.
It's a very good defensive player.
I don't want to talk about Buddy Healed. That guy, the game before he drops 33, couldn't get me 5 points on my parlay. Freaking ridiculous.
And that's why, he's one of those guys, like we mentioned earlier, he could give you 30, he could give you 5. They're going to need him to average about 20, I think.
That's
They're going to
high
have enough
expectations
offense.
with Buddy Hield. Sorry, buddy, if you're a fan of the show.
But
For the
Jimmy,
Warriors, I think the Warriors, I think it's going to be a low scoring series. Like, I think a lot of the games are going to be low scoring. The
for sure.
Timberwolves offense kind of stagnates a lot, especially when you have Gobert clogging the paint and then Julius Randle. He's kind of inconsistent, although he was really good in the Lakers series. But Julius Randle has a history of like being a notorious playoff dropper. Like he's always been a really bad playoff dropper. They're going to need him to have a big series because if he doesn't give them enough offense, I don't think they're going to score enough points to win.
Very true.
I
Who
don't
do we
think
think has a bigger impact, Steph or Ant? Who do you think has a better series?
Mm.
I would say Ant. I mean, I would say Steph, but I think I'm going to go Ant. Steph, you got to remember, we got to keep in mind he has that thumb issue right now,
hmm
which has really been bothering him. you could tell the last couple of games. Although we got hot yesterday in the second half, but I think that's gonna bother him for sure.
I'm excited for this matchup. I think Jimmy's going to be on Ant. I think they're going to get into it. Huge firepower type of players, and I think Gobert and Draymond. It's going to be a chippy series, like you said. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be defense. It's going to be one of those good playoff series for sure.
How many ejections do you think we're going for in this series?
I think just one. The line is at half. It's at 0.5 right now.
I'm going high. I'm going 4. Give me 4 ejections. I want to see benches clear. I want to see them. You're gone.
Give me 2 ejections. I think they're gonna be hesitant to eject guys just because it's the playoffs. They don't want to throw star players out of the game in big games. Unless it's happening like an excessive amount of times. There's going to be a lot of technicals, though.
Streamline.
How many
See a lot of
headlocks are we
guys.
going to get this
more than
series?
one.
Huh?
How many headlocks or chokeholds are we going to get this series? Think Draymond does it again to Gobert?
I think he's gonna show us a new move. I think he's gonna whip something out. Maybe
Okay.
some taekwondo or something.
Look for Draymond to potentially put Ant-Man in a headlock, bro. Ant talks a
Okay.
lot of shit, bro.
Okay.
Ant
I
talks a
like
lot.
that.
And
Maybe some
Draymond
nut
doesn't
kicks.
like it, bro. Huh?
Maybe some nut kicks.
I wouldn't be surprised if Draymond and Ant get into it. For sure.
Maybe he pulls the Jordan Poole and he just goes straight for the right hook.
Be very straightforward.
That'd be iconic.
And we'll have to see if Draymond can give them some scoring punch.
He did last night.
He had a big offensive game in Game 7.
I did not like that.
He actually
I
had
don't
more
see it.
points at half. He had more points at halftime than Steph and Jimmy did.
I haven't seen that in like 6 years.
Especially, I feel like when their backs are against the wall, I feel like that's when Draymond scores more.
You're right. But they're going to keep that 3-pointer open to him.
For better or for
He
worse.
better not shoot it.
Yeah, I don't want to see that backpack jumper.
Yeah, no, get that offense
So
out.
disgusting.
Please just get Buddy Hield open
So,
without moving screen.
based on just basketball, I feel like the Timberwolves should win this in 6.
Lose to.
But give me the Dubs in 7. Give me the Dubs in 7.
Motherfucker.
The championship pedigree, bro. They know what it takes to win, and they're gonna pull it off.
I like that it's 2 teams that have like new looks than they did last year and making a good run at it. A 2-year-old can knock out OBJ. I see what you mean, Jacob. I'm not a LeBron sexual. I'm just a Tatum sexual. So I'm not really a big LeBron guy. What was I saying? I
I
forgot.
may have been a bronzexual in the past, but we keep that
But
on the low.
we'll
That
cut
doesn't
that out,
happen
Gene.
anymore.
Gene, just cut that part out, please. But what I was saying, I like how these teams have kind of revamped their teams. The same team that they brought out last year, and they're making a good run. And they're going to give one of these teams is going to give the Thunder problems in the next series if the Thunder make it out. So I think we, yeah, Rob, don't touch your face, buddy.
My bad. I'd be doing that too.
Papa Gene getting on us. But I like
Gene,
that.
I thought you liked when I swivel. You said I'm a pretty swiveler. I've heard it.
You made sure you knew. You know, through Twitch and YouTube. But all right, I feel like that's pretty good
That's kinda
NBA
wrapped up
talk
on that
here.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
We only had 2 more segments, really. We were going to talk about our Rookie of the Week segment. That's going to be a weekly thing we do. It's kind of the premise of the show, the Rookie of the Year show. So we'll each have a rookie, and we'll kind of go over who we think is the Rookie of the Year. We'll have our Rookie of the Week, and we'll kind of go over our argument For this first one, we're going to choose which rookie in the NFL draft is going to have the biggest impact on their team next year. We're just going to have kind of just one guy that we're going to pick. Hopefully, not be too much of homers, even though mine's going to be a hometown kid. But yeah, we'll start with Rob. Just give us your quick. Who do you think is going to be the biggest NFL rookie, or who do you think is going to be your favorite NFL rookie to make an impact on their team?
Abdul Carter. It
Going with your Penn State guy.
might be somewhat biased. I do think Abdul Carter could be the most impactful player in this draft. And the Giants, I mean, the Giants, they need anything, to be honest. They have a lot of holes to fill on their team. So look for him to come in, give them a huge boost on the edge. I think he's going to have a big rookie season. He's very physical. Abdul Carter's a lot bigger than he looks on TV, by the way, because he's listed about 6'3", 255. If you just watch him on TV, he looks like he's like 6 foot 200. He's a big guy, so it's hard to out physical him, you know. He's going to be hard to dominate him. I think he's going to dominate a lot of offensive linemen, especially in his first couple of seasons.
They have a good defensive line. I think with Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau, he's going to be able to get some good matchups and make an impact on the Giants. But I hate the Giants. I don't want to see them do any good things.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that he had to go to the Giants, but he's still my guy.
I'm going to pick Travion Henderson. I think that's exactly the kind of complement to this offense that Drake May needed. We were all talking about in the offseason, get this guy a piece, get this guy a piece. And we thought that we were going to get that with like the number 4 overall pick. Like maybe Travis Hunter might fall to us, but we made the right decision taking Will Campbell. But I think Travion Henderson is going to be like our Jahmyr Gibbs style player, that third down back, that speed out of the backfield. Josh McDaniels back in New England, likes to run screens, likes to run kind of gadget plays and have gadget players. And Travion Henderson, I think, is going to be that guy. Also, having Ramondre Stevenson as somebody to learn from is going to be a good veteran in that running back room. But Travion Henderson, I think we got one of the steals of the draft in the second round. I think he's going to be. I think Genty will be the best running back out of this class, but I think he'll be be easily the number 2 guy for running backs in this class. I think he's going to have a huge impact on the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be the Patriots again. We're going to be winning games, going to be in the playoffs, and Travion Henderson's going to be a big part of that.
Personally, I mean, I've got a few different guys that have me pulling in different directions. I mean, I like your guys' pick of Will Campbell. I believe I was telling you that at work, Javi. I think he's going to be a workhorse. I think he's going to be a staple in your offensive line for years to come. Like Joel, I think also, despite my dislike for the Chargers, I think he's going to be big. But Travis Hunter, man, I think he's going to go and be exactly what Trevor Lawrence needs out in Jacksonville. I think they may give him some reps at cornerback, see how he does. But I think immediately his impact is going to be seen on the offensive end, just being that weapon that Trevor Lawrence needs, that they've been looking for.
You see him being more of an offensive guy for his rookie year than defensive, huh?
I do. I think the defense will come with time. I think those NFL receivers are going to give him a little bit of trouble to begin with. So I think they're going to limit that, or at least limit who he's covering.
I think he's going to get a little bit of both. He's not going to be out there every play for defense, but when they need man coverage, he's going to be playing in that nickel, and he's going to be getting – I think he went to the right place. Jacksonville trading up to get him, he kind of has – they don't really have too much expectations going into next year. They can kind of really – I mean, they just needed somebody to complement Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence. They have 2 really good young studs, and they have Travis Etienne. And they just needed another complement type of guy, and I think Travis is going to fit in there seamlessly. He's going to love Florida. He's going to be fishing out there in Jacksonville. his girlfriend. Hopefully, he's gonna be tucked away in the condo, not causing too many issues. He's so fine, but I think Travis Hunter kind of found the right place. I like that pick. I think he's going to be a good player here in Jacksonville. Might have to go up to Jacksonville to go see a game with Travis Hunter. Saw him here in person at UCF, and that guy was ridiculous. Hit his name pose right here in the end zone. That shit was crazy.
The Browns fumbled so bad, man. They could have had Shador and Travis.
Right.
You
But they
trade
still
your
got
pick
Shador.
away. You trade your pick away. You could have had Travis Hunter. Then you end up drafting Shador Sanders. By the way, what are the Browns doing with their quarterback room right now? This is like I've never seen anything.
Trial by fire.
You draft 2 quarterbacks late in the draft. Then they went out and signed Joe Flacco. They don't even know what they're doing.
No, not a shot.
One of the worst run organizations in sports.
Great
Who do you
now
think
with
should take that job? Who do you think is going to be the week 1 starter for Cleveland?
That's a good question. I think it's Shador. I think he's going to put on a show in camp. I think he's going to take all this backlash he's been getting from the draft that he's been getting. I know he had his little party after he got drafted, little celebration thing going on, but I do think he'll lock in. I do think he's going to show that grit. I'm going to bet on him to do well. I think over as good as Joe Flacco was, ancient Joe Flacco, and actually, now I think about it, they have Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel was pretty good in Morgan. So that might be a little bit closer than I think. Either way, like Rob said, it's questionable what they're doing, but at least they're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, they're not going to give you guys any trouble in the AFC North at all. You have to be all right.
It's going
But
to take them a long time to recover from that worst signing in NFL history. You guys don't want
Deshaun is going to be hurt this year, right? Is he even going to be able to play?
I don't think he's going to play at all next season.
What a organization. Why even trade for that guy?
But I don't think he's playing next year. Joe Flacco might be their week 1 starter.
Yeah, probably. You probably let Joe Flacco there, and then
I don't think there's any way they start Shador week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the last but not least segment of the day. There's a reason this guy's last. I don't want to talk about him too much. Aaron Judge. This guy's dominating the MLB. He's batting 400, 11 bombs. I mean, let Rob, the Yankees fan, kind of glaze over him, but that's your transition, Rob.
You can't. I mean, where do we even start? You can't say enough about this guy. This is like the 4th time that he's put up a historic season. 2017, he comes out, his rookie year is already historic. He hits like 50-something bombs. Baseball is the ultimate team sport. I'm not going to let that decide his legacy. Because, by the way, Shohei Ohtani was awful in the World Series, and people still glazed the hell out of him. Like he won them the championship or something. He was terrible. We're going to let it be known that he was terrible. And by the way, Ohtani is not better than Judge.
Hitting or as a player?
Either one.
I mean, come on.
You can say Ohtani's a pitcher all you want. Ohtani hasn't pitched in 2 years, bro. We can't talk about his two-way prowess when he's not playing. He hasn't been a two-way in 2 years. So we can't even factor that in.
We're only be honest. We just need to roll him out onto the mound and he drops another 50-50 season. I mean, come on. We can leave this topic for another day, but
when Ohtani's pitching, though, his offense won't be this good.
You think?
If he was pitching last year, he wouldn't have had a 50-50 year. Guaranteed.
Time will tell.
He wouldn't have had a 50-50 year, but he probably would have been at 40-40, if not close.
You got Soto literally complaining that he doesn't have Judge behind him, and that's why he's not playing so well. I think it's
That
insane.
that that's
Brian.
crazy too.
That's the
Well,
impact that this guy Judge has on teams. A player that's not even on his team is reminiscing, listening to Marvin's Room, thinking about him at night.
I mean,
not to detract
Judge,
from Judge, he had a historic month. Like there's no doubt.
for sure. 2022, he goes off for 62 homers. Then last year, he was arguably better than he was in 2022. His homers were down a little bit, but his overall numbers were up across the board. And then this year, he's just like, you can't even put into words what he's doing. It's incredible.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
just go
We'll see if it
please.
amounts to wins for the Yankees. They're only 2 games ahead of the Red Sox right now. Just know the Red Sox, when they get this thing going, they'll be up at the top.
And it's a long season. Because in 2019, Cody Bellinger had a similar start. He actually had a better start than Judge is having right now. Through April in 2019, Cody Bellinger was batting around 440 with like 14 home runs.
Wow.
Obviously, he did go on to win MVP that year. But it's a
Right.
long season. I don't think Judge is going to be able to maintain a 400 average, but
No.
he should be able to get the triple crown.
I think that was good first show, guys. I think we kind of did a pretty good job rolling with that. For first timers, this is kind of be like, this is our first time doing a podcast, so we're kind of just getting our feet wet, but this is going to be a really good weekly show that you guys can look forward to listening to. Just know we'll be getting our stride going, and we'll have some good episodes coming up here soon for you guys. We'll have some really fun things with just going along with the lines of rookies. But yeah, this is going to be a fun show. Me, Josh, and Rob will be working hard to try to give you guys the best weekly show here on Pop Sports. Sorry, Buff. Sorry, TJ. But hopefully we get some aura here for the young guys do. So appreciate you guys for putting this together. We appreciate Gene for trusting us and doing this. But I think that's going to be a wrap for show number 1. I think we did a great job, guys.
Of course. Thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Gene, of course, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank the fans. Thank our guys for listening.
Yeah.
And stay tuned because we got a lot of other shows rolling out here on the Pop Sports Network.
And in a week from now, the Celtics will be up 3-0 and about to finish a sweep next Monday. So look forward to that.
Oh, yeah. And there goes Javi.
We are gone.
All right, guys. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Peace.